Guess who's back? Back again. Mikey's back and Mrs. Mikey J. Tell a friend. Here we are with episode 3 of the Brick Chat. And before we go any further, let me just say if you like this stream or any of my content, please like, comment, and subscribe. We have a special guest coming on, and his name is Sir Legolot. And he is a PhD from England, and he is incredibly knowledgeable about all things castles. Like we were just blown away with the amount of knowledge that this gentleman has. Because the castle that he has, it's a Lego idea set. Do you have anything you'd like to say, honey?
I'm just excited about it because I learned so much, and I'm excited to see the segment.
To start this interview by introducing Sir Legolot. How are you today, sir?
I am very good. Yeah, I'm enjoying all the wonderful support that I've been getting from the sort of the Lego Ideas community and the Lego Castle community, and I've been enjoying sort of new elements of the building project that I'm on, which is wonderful.
How many Lego Ideas sets have you submitted thus far?
One.
Oh,
I feel like that's been a silly move on my part. So I like to think of myself as a measure twice, cut once person. So I put a huge amount of thought into the modular castle that's up there now. But honestly, I do have a big pile of ideas that when I'm happier with sort of the speed that votes come in, because you have to get it in during the 2 years, then I will maybe put up and direct some attention to. So so like there's and we can talk about this when I show you guys some stuff on Flickr later, like because of the way that the castle is designed. So again, coming back to this concept of a castle as a functional building, castles have a sort of grammar to them in that there are specific ways that you build a wall or specific ways that you build a gatehouse, and your landscape for every different castle is going to be completely different. So the negotiation between the castle and the landscape is going to be completely unique, and the castle that you get is going to be as unique as maybe a line of Shakespeare's poetry, but at the same time it's going to follow these sort of grammatical rules. So I spent a long time trying to figure out how can you build essentially walls and towers out of Lego that give you roughly all of the functionality that physical castle walls do. So, they can bend and give you corners, they can separate in the same place that they bend, and you can attach towers, and you can attach gatehouses and sort of build towers into gatehouses, or even build towers on top of things, and then also put together keeps. And that sort of was the heart of it. But it meant that once I had the initial ideas project, I actually had a fairly unlimited number of things that I could do. So I guess actually this is maybe a nice time to look.
Yeah. Can you bring up your castle?
There it is. Okay.
this little princess who's flying around on top of her griffin.
I loved that bird. That was like my favorite.
So for a long time, I was planning on having a dragon with the castle, and then this dragon came out with the Lego Falcons castle, and you know, Lego produce a ton of dragons, and I thought, what haven't they done? And like Griffin seemed like an obvious choice, and yeah, I was really happy like with what came out. It certainly was a lot nicer, a lot quicker than I expected it to be. If this doesn't get made, I'm definitely gonna go to Bricklink and getting all of the parts and putting one of these together, because they are so cute.
How many pieces is it?
The Griffin is
Oh no, the whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing. It's a bit. It's just under 3K when you include all of the limbs of the minifigures.
That's not like too terrible. Yeah.
So it's big. The piece count, I could have made it less. I could have sort of delivered the same level of castliness with a lower piece count if we had used less ornamentation. So I think part of what's fun about this castle is that you have this huge network of crossbow slots, and again, that's a real thing that castles had in real life, is these wonderful geometric patterns that in their own way are kind of beautiful, but are designed exactly so that you can, you know, shoot people through.
Defend your castle.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I noticed about yours, was that, and I thought that was a quite ingenious addition, and it actually adds a lot of character to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. I really like it. So I think if you get rid of all of the fancy stuff, you could maybe redesign a minimal version of this with maybe like 1,500-ish bricks. But I liked the grandeur and the character and the, sort of the spice that that sort of real life visual style gave to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like you included Viking raiders in this one, which is historically accurate. You know, I like that.
Well, so I mean, I'm imagining that this castle is in the time of King Henry VIII. So he was not having a lot of problems with Vikings. Vikings, I think, were done about 500 years before that. But at the same time, like I really like Vikings as a storytelling device, because you know that the actual Scandinavians in King Henry VIII's time essentially wore the same clothes as King Henry VIII did. So if you have Scandinavian traders at that time, there's no visual distinction to them. But with Vikings, like they're very recognizable. And of course, you know, they have these horned helmets that are introduced really by Wagner rather than anything that's historically real. But you look at them and you can instantly see them as a distinct faction that have personalities within it, and they also have this wonderful ambiguity to them. So are these Vikings coming to attack the land? Are they attacking the castle? Are they going past the castle to, you know, burn Lindisfarne again? Or are they, in fact, so in this photo we have them delivering what seems to be a barrel of wine or something. Are they traders that have come from overseas to sort of do something? And also, you like, there's, by creating the right minifigures, I thought that you could create so much potential for sort of storytelling fun. And so something that was very important to me was having like a big mix of male and female characters. So, you know, you could have that opportunity that maybe the two sides are at war, but there's this Romeo and Juliet love story between two of the characters, or you know, I don't know. So or you know, they can be friends, and maybe one of them is a traitor, or there's just so much there, and I think
infinite possibilities.
Yeah, and I think Vikings, or for that are better than most other sort of enemies. So if I created an evil wizard with red eyes and lots of skeletons, they could never be friends.
Right.
But having these Vikings who can be, you know, maybe they've just come back from doing all these wonderful things in the defense of ancient Byzantium, or maybe they've, you know, maybe they're just trying to look for gold that they can get. Who knows? You know, you as a child can decide yourself, and even decide differently every day of the week.
Yeah. Every hour.
This next question is going to be pretty obvious, but you know, I'm assuming castle is your favorite Lego theme.
It's either castle or space, if I'm honest. So they're both lovely in different ways. So as a child, I was generally torn between them, but my thinking was generally that space travel was the future, whereas castles were the past. So it was a better thing to try and learn to become a scientist and you know, maths and all of that kind of stuff than it was to sort of live your life you know, focused on castles, because you know, this is probably not coming back. At the same time, though, I think there's a lot of interesting things that you I know you pick up from that kind of thinking. So like reading people like I mentioned Chrétien earlier. So reading people who lived 1,000 or 1,500 years ago, who are writing about everyday lives or even writing adventure stories, you get a really deep perspective onto the way that cultures change, but also the way that some things stay the same. Like one of my favorite things about some of the medieval authors is that they sort of write Simpsons-esque stuff. So my favorite story in the sort of the iiRcadians cycles is about Yvain, who's this sort of, he's almost like Homer Simpson, if that makes sense, in that he's clearly well-intentioned, and unlike Homer Simpson, he's also a super duper competent warrior, and he defeats people and all of that, but he's just an idiot. So literally every situation in his book, maybe save, no, I think literally every situation where he is offered a choice, he does the stupid thing. And he only really succeeds in life because this servant girl takes a liking to him, and she keeps telling him, look, here is a way of getting through this situation that's not going to make it worse, and periodically smoothing things over with the other people that he meets. And like that's it's amazing to think of people 1,000 years ago, or heading for 1,000 years ago, laughing at the same kind of comedy that we do, and I don't know, seeing the same kind of silly things as funny.
That's interesting. Absolutely.
I know another man whose wife or woman helps him take the right choices instead. Yeah. You're not like Homer.
So because of this modularity, basically, so traditionally with a Lego castle, you know, they're a square, and when you open them out, you get a modified like C shape with some dimples in it, because all of the corners are sort of built into the castle. So my modular system basically means that you can have all of your corners at any angle, and every section of wall and every tower can be disattached from the guys next to it and reattached somewhere else. So this, you know, folds out into that, but you can also have all of this fun. So this is different keeps getting put together, and then the little griffin.
I like that little tower.
And so all of these could be sort of the heart of your castle, and all of these could be the thing that you build your walls around and you protect, but they all have a completely different flavor to them. And whilst it's a different flavor, it's also a sort of maybe historically plausible flavor. So all of these are things that you'll see in one period or another.
the historical aspects of Lego. I wish they would get back a little bit more to that. I love it.
Oh, that's neat.
100%. So this is just a diagram of how all of these is what I call hinged connectors work. So it's some clever combination of existing Lego pieces that allows you to bend and connect. And here, so this is a quite a simple version of the castle, but it illustrates that you can create these lovely curved walls.
Yeah.
And so like that was lovely when we had it on the but what's the Lord of the Rings set? It's not
Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep, yes. Like that's such a great model. But again, like this is a real thing and a really cool thing. So one of the castles that I loved as a child was Windsor Castle. So let me find that. Okay. So if you look into the heart of Windsor Castle, inside all of the other towers, you have this lovely gigantic circular wall with this key built into it. And it's like this section is so cleverly designed. Like it's got this hillock underneath it. In some ways, it's a little bit reminiscent of King's Mountain Fortress if you're super into your Lego.
Yeah.
But part of what was important to me about my Lego set was that you could produce things like Windsor Castle. So just sorry. Oh, I guess this is a nice thing to jump to. So this basically illustrates that you can take two copies of the ideas set and slam them together, and you instantly have twice as much castle or a twice as big castle. And that's something that traditionally Lego sets haven't really done. So the old grey castles you could combine and make really beautiful things out of. But you know, if you get two Black Knights castles and stick them next to each other, you just have two castles that are next door. You don't have a ginormous castle. And so this is showing more variations, which are all very cool. And a little drawbridge that I designed. And, you know, if you get two of them, you can do this aerial joust. It's probably a little bit annoying. It flicks so fast. So because of all that, we have because of taking all of the time to build the what I think of as being the grammar of the castle, and also trying to make it so that each of the individual sections had enough elegance on its own that you could. I mean, this is sort of the thing. So if you build a big thing out of Lego bricks, it inherits the property of being Lego. If you take lots of small pieces of iron and forge them together, it inherits the property of being iron. It's not true that if you take lots of beautiful things and you mix them together, you have a larger beautiful thing. But my intuition was, if I made each individual section beautiful in its own right, then it would give people the capacity to do much more with it. So that's obviously the castle that you've just seen on ideas.
I don't have the newest Creator 3-in-1 set that they've released, castle set, but after that, I have all the pretty much every castle stuff that they've released the last 10, 15 years.
I know.
I have the red castle, the blue castle. So I look at your design and I can see how it's more advanced and more thought out than even the official Lego castles that have been released the last handful of years.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you. Can I just take you on a little diversion? So this is one of the fun things that's happened. Or actually, I mean, maybe a good way of telling the story is to start with this castle. So it was staring at views from of Windsor Castle that I sort of realized that I loved square towers and that I needed some square towers in the set. So it's, you can't really see the niceness of these towers from, I mean, maybe they still look nice from this angle, and there are lovely square towers here, but Windsor has this lovely kind of mixture of interesting shapes that make up all of the defenses. So that made me think about how would you make a couple of towers that would fit in nicely into this castle and use a low piece count, but at the same time give you all of the same modularity that you had otherwise. And eventually I solved that problem, but when I solved that problem, it meant that I could do things that I had been wanting to do for ages. So this is a toy version which is genuinely achievable for a child to make of Bodiam Castle. So Bodiam Castle,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the nicest castles visually, I think, anywhere. It's I'm just trying to. I've obviously not selected a top-down view of it, but it's this beautiful, super symmetrical square castle. So it's built with this huge lake/moat around it. So they knew that they could basically make the ground underneath it any shape that they want, and they had sort of no other restrictions from like a cliff or a mountain or a landscape around them. So they were able to make this lovely symmetry to it, and it made me really excited when I realized. Look,
I think you achieved it, man.
That's
I really
awesome.
do.
I love it.
I mean, it's almost. I mean, obviously the other one's real and it's brown, and this one's blue and gray. But I mean, the shape is there, the feel is there. Absolutely.
Thank you. So I'm excited about this as a toy. So this is Bodiam was built late enough that cannons were a serious problem. So instead of having a big tall keep that cannons could knock down, they built a long low one, and that's that represented there. And I realized that it was actually, again, and you see this on the boxes for the modular builds from time to time. They show you, look, here is how you can combine this block of flats with itself to make a super block of flats. So this sort of shows you what the version of Bodiam you can make with a few sets of this Lego Idealist castle, and you can really get to the point where it sort of has most of the realism, sort of grounding you. That it's very funny describing it as a mock variant of my own set, but that's sort of what it is. So this is it's using all of the pieces that came out of the set and then multiplying that a few times, and because you have all of the essential the colors on the palette for castles, or all of the cards in the deck for the game, you're now able to build these very, very realistic historical castles. And like that's never been something that you could really do as a child, or as someone who plays with Lego before. It was always a case that you could buy the Black Knight's castle and it would be the Black Knight's castle, and if you wanted Windsor Castle, well, you probably can't do that unless you have a million pieces. But this sort of gives you a nice way of creating various scales of realism for real castles around the world. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.
And we'll definitely bring you on again. And everybody out there, go support his Lego Ideas Castle. It's absolutely brilliant, as you've seen here today. And check out Sir Legolot on Facebook. I know he has his own page and everything set up there. And we will definitely be having you in again on the future. Absolutely.
We'll put the links in the description.
We'll put the links in the description. All the whole 9 yards. And thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, we got the iiRcadians merch store. If you want to take a little piece of the show with you, you can get it right here. We got everything. You want some Mikey J stuff? We got the Mikey J Productions for you. We got it all in the iiRcadians shop. So take a chance and stop by. We'll take care of you.